Hey guys, it's Ronan, Musicmaker. Today we're hopefully going to be showing you how to properly put together, set up and tune a tom. Today it's a 14-inch tom from Sonor Phonic, but it could be any tom you like. So guys, we got this 14-inch tom here. The rules today will just be general. Obviously sometimes there might be an idea that you want to tune stylistically, but we'll just give you a general idea of how to set up for this instance. So today I normally start with the bottom head. You can start with the top, I guess. Today we got a standard Remo Ambassador single ply 10mm head, clear, classic. Most drums, whether they're intermediate, entry or high end, will come with a head that's this weight. And this is a great example of something that you can use as a resonant on any tom or floor tom. So generally, it's not important, but I like to face off, make sure that the Remo logo kind of matches up with the brand of the drums. Not really important, but just orientates you a little bit. Today we have a triple flange hoop, so you'll know a triple flange hoop because of the 3 turns in the hoop itself. This gives you a more vintage open tone. You can also use a die cast hoop. In a later video we might show you an example of that. Die cast hoop will make the sound a little more solid, a little more focused, but for the purposes of this video today, we're going to use a triple flange hoop, which is ideal and perfect on this drum. So you just carefully place that down, making sure that it's even. This is an older drum today that we're using, so there is always the potential that a hoop might be slightly warped, but I think we're pretty good today, but always check. So what I tend to like to do is get the keys, the lug screws 2 at a time, and at opposites place them as such. Benefit of this is that you don't start too quickly. So we've finally gotten to where we have finger tightened everything 2 at a time in opposites. Today with this drum we actually had to use a key because Sonor have an intricate system that kind of doesn't necessarily allow you to finger tighten. But you know, take every drum as it comes. Sometimes you might find a drum that has a little bit of a stiff insert and you will have to use a key, and that's okay at that point. So at this point we will introduce the key, and basically what I like to do is I like to kind of not necessarily looking for tone at the moment, I'm kind of just looking for even tension. So I have a little bit of a technique, and it involves just using one of your hands, whichever one you prefer, the right or the left. So in this instance I'm going to use my left hand, and basically what that does is that it allows you to measure tension evenly. So I think the problem with switching hands, as you would instinctively do between left and right, is that you're measuring torque at this point. So you're probably gonna send yourself a little bit of a mixed signal, because invariably one hand is always going to be stronger than the other. So my little tip is don't switch hands with your key if you can. Stick with the one hand, because at this point you're kind of measuring torque in your hand. Some people will use drum dials to solidify things, or tension watches, or tune box, also an amazing product. Evans also do a great thing called the torque key, but your hand is probably going to be the most trustworthy measure of tension and torque at this point as the head goes down on the drum. Pretty happy with that. At this point you'd probably use a stick. I use the butt end of a stick just to kind of try and search a little bit for an even tone across the drum. Again, there's so many elements with a drum that will kind of pose challenges to you getting an even tune, the condition of the hoop, the inserts that the lug screw goes into, the lug screws themselves, the condition of the head, the age of the head. In an ideal situation, you should be able to pull a measured even tune across the drum, but it's not always possible, so don't give up. It is quite tricky at times. Again, traveling in opposites, trying to find the tuning. I'm just pinching them tight at this point because we're pretty close to where it's supposed to be, in my opinion, for this drum. But different drums, sizes and depths, and different genres of music are probably going to define your choice of head, and also how you tune the drum. So, for example, if you're involved in jazz, you're probably going to go with a coated single ply head, and you're probably going to tune it on the medium high side. Whereas if you're playing rock, metal, or gospel, modern kind of R&B style, you'll probably go with a heavy or medium heavy double ply, clear oil-filled head, and you know, like a Pinstripe or an EC2 or a Remo Emperor, and that's going to give you that low rumble that you need for those genres of music. Those are just two examples. There's so many more, and the rules are kind of gone now at this stage in terms of tuning. You could be playing jazz but using double ply oil filled heads, or you could be playing metal and using single ply coated heads. It's really defined by you as a player. So at this point I'm pretty happy with the tuning on the bottom side. I always like to revisit it anyway, so this isn't completely done, but at this point we'll probably just flip the drum over and start on the top side. As you see, this drum has an internal dampener. Not all drums are going to have internal dampeners. It was definitely a feature of drums during the 70s and 80s, maybe even the 60s and 50s indeed. But in this instance, I'm just going to take the tension down on this so it's not affecting how we put the head onto the drum. For this drum today, we are going to use a Power Stroke 4 coated. It's essentially a double ply, two 7mm plies with filament in between. It's a classic head, and then you've also got the feature of the control ring built in around the edge. The benefit of that is that it helps control tone. Great on drums that are 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, really good feature. Also great on bass drums, great everywhere really, but in this instance I think this skin is perfect. Again, not really massively important, but let's do a little bit of facing off there, matching the heads, make sure it's seated, everything's okay, and we will introduce the rim. So, as you can see, we've got all the lug screws lined up. I should say today, if anybody's wondering, we got a slotted Sonor key. This is a vintage Sonor kit, so this has slotted keys. The majority of modern drums that you buy today actually will just have a standard lug, standard square head lug. So, but if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask. So again, finger tighten, two at a time at opposites. So if you're doing this guy, make sure you're doing this guy at the same time. It allows the tension to drop evenly on the drum. Today, of course, as we already said, this classic Sonor kit, classic Sonor design, it makes it a little bit trickier to finger tighten this drum as you ordinarily would with a lot of modern drums. That's a testament to Sonor's engineering. What it means is that this drum is probably not going to detune too easy, which is really great. So at this point, we pretty much got the tension down evenly on the drum. I'll just do this last guy here, and at this point, you're kind of going to start looking for tone. So I kind of put a bit of a bright note in the bottom head. in terms of the tuning that I feel would best suit this drum today, considering what it's going to be used for and who's going to use it, we're probably going to put a little bit of a medium-low tuning on this head here, so you get that really fat, big, round tone. This is going to be the rack tom, so where a normal player might obviously have a 12-inch tom in front of them, as an example, as a general example. The player that's going to use this is going to have this 14-inch in front of them, so the music kind of requires that kind of a low fundamental as the first point of contact off the snare. So but you know, again, the rules are all, there are no rules really anymore. The only rule to obey is just that there's even tension across the drum at all points, and then everything else is up to you in terms of how you prefer a drum to be tuned. So again, using the technique that I said, we just try and keep the tuning key in one hand. Just if you employ this technique and if you try it out and if you practice it, basically what it means is that you can start to get a real measure of how tension works in your hand, and it does the same job as a torque key. Will bring you the same results that a drum dial or any other associated product will bring you. But it's great, you know, you can't always rely on a venue or a studio having a drum dial. You know, sometimes the only thing that you're going to have is a key, so you got to rely on yourself a lot of the time. So, stand up for this bit. You can hear the head cracking there a little bit, which is always a nice sound. Every drummer likes that sound. This drum is a pleasure to tune. Just apply a little bit of pressure on while I can. You don't have to be too forceful, but it's nice to just do that, just to bed the head in a little bit. Some companies will argue that you don't have to do that, but and generally you don't, but if you feel you need to, do it. Again, always moving in opposites. We'll check the bottom end versus this. So I probably want to take the tension down a little bit on this. Tension down a little bit on this as well. Pretty damn good.